Jansen Harris here with the final play on the Just Good Network. Joining me every week is Adam Lewis with the What's Off Season podcast. What's up, Adam?
What's going on, brother? How are you doing, man? So excited to be on this once again. Of course, loving what we're doing, like I just mentioned. And let's get to it.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Steelers. I feel like this is a bad loss. Losing at home to Washington. How bad of a loss do you think it is? To me, this was bad. They needed this game. They got the Bills coming up. How do you feel about the Steelers' loss to Washington?
So the Steelers lost, man, to Washington. You put that loss in, of course, because they shouldn't have lost to a team of that caliber. But when you look at how the Steelers have been playing the past few weeks, and then you look at how Washington has been playing the past few weeks, this was set up perfectly for Washington to win. And you look at the defense that Washington has, it's almost like they ran into a smaller version, in a way, of the Steelers ran into a smaller version of themselves because of the defense that Washington has. You know, they're a fierce team on the defensive side of the ball. So if I had to give it a letter grade, I'd probably say it's about a C, maybe like a 5 or a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of how bad it is. Not absolutely terrible, though. Did they need it, though? Absolutely, because like you just mentioned, they're going up against Buffalo, which is a team that I think now can be cracked to beat them. So they got to be on their toes, Pittsburgh.
Absolutely, and we've seen Big Ben throw 53 times. I don't think that's a formula to win. They only had 15 rushing yards from McFarland, and they got outscored in the fourth quarter. They didn't play well at all. Outscored 13-3. And Mike Tomlin said the Steelers they didn't deserve to win this game. Let's transition, man, unto the Buffalo Bills. Speaking of the Devils, they are 9-3. I was high on the Bills coming into this season. I thought Josh Allen would progress from being an okay quarterback, pretty good at times, did all right in the playoffs, to becoming maybe not a superstar, but really, really good. I think he's had a pretty productive season. Do you view them as legit Super Bowl contenders?
Legit Super Bowl contenders, people are probably going to blast me for this, but Buffalo being legit Super Bowl contenders, not just yet, because I feel like obviously now in the AFC, you have to be better than Kansas City, and that's just a point to where I don't think Buffalo is at yet. Are they a good team, borderline a great team? Yes, no question about that. I think Josh Allen still makes some mistakes in and out of the pocket. He still needs to mature a little bit. Of course, Stephon Diggs bringing him over from Minnesota, that was a huge game for him. That obviously helped him break out and obviously made Stephon Diggs, get the exposure that he wanted to get. I would definitely say the Bills are AFC Championship contenders. And who knows? Maybe they could get to the Super Bowl, and I'm just really asleep on the Bills. But as of right now, no, man, I can't call them legit Super Bowl contenders just yet. They're a little too inconsistent for me.
For me, man, and I want to say they are because of their wins against Seattle, Raiders, Rams, and they should have beat the Cardinals. Let's just keep it real. But then I've seen them play a team like Kansas City, and even though they only lost by 9 points, they really got outplayed the whole game. They really had no chance to win that game. The offense played bad. The defense was good at times, but not good enough. So, still red flags to me. They need to go out there and beat the Steelers convincingly, or beat the Steelers by a couple touchdowns. I think that's a marquee game this weekend. That's going to say a lot about the Steelers and if they recovered from that loss. And we're going to learn a lot about the Bills. Because remember, that loss to the Cardinals was huge. They would have been at 2 losses. So I'm kind of with you. We have to see more from them. Josh Allen's been balling, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks, 322 yards on the ground, 6 rushing touchdowns. We know this. Their wide receiving core is pretty good too. Diggs, one of the top guys in the league, 90 catches, over 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. Cole Beasley has 4 touchdowns. Gabriel Davis, I think he's been pretty good, 4 touchdowns. Singletary, over 500 yards. So they have the weapons, they have the defensive guys, but Super Bowl, they still have to prove themselves. So we'll see what they could do, but they need to go out there and beat the Steelers. That's all I can say for that one. Let's transition into your Saints. Taysom Hill, they've been undefeated with him as a starter. They've seen Atlanta, they've seen Denver, they've seen Atlanta again. Can the Saints get to the Super Bowl with Taysom Hill as the starting quarterback?
Man, so being realistic, want to say yes so bad. Sean Payton's going to have to dig even deeper into the boy genius that he is. And obviously Drew something would have to happen with Drew in order for him to not come back, for Taysom to actually take us. I want to believe as a fan, of course, that Taysom could. And it's definitely possible. But this season, no. I'm banking on Brees coming back, being extremely fierce, being on a revenge tour, taking the Saints all the way and winning it. Now with Taysom Hill maybe next year or the year after that, that's what I've been advocating for. Taysom Hill showing that he can be the future. Taysom Hill showing that he can play football. And Sean Payton can obviously put a lot of people in this league and give them a job and make them very, very good. So if we're speaking in terms of this year for Taysom Hill taking the Saints to the Super Bowl, no, that's going to be for Drew Brees. But in the coming years, I can definitely see it happening. Because Sean Payton could coach him up, and we could, like I've been saying, and I said it in a couple episodes ago, Sean Payton could really access another dimension of his playbook that he hasn't been able to have because of Drew Brees' limitations with mobility and downfield play.
Absolutely. And the thing about Taysom Hill, I'm not saying he's a pretender. He's very efficient, but I just don't know how good he is yet. I know he scores a lot of rushing touchdowns. He looked perfect against...
touchdowns in his 3 starts, man, which is pretty good. I was actually shocked that he's been putting up that many points.
Exactly. You see what he's doing on the ground. He's making smart plays. 232 passing yards, 2 touchdowns against the Falcons. That's not bad, but my problem is they played the Falcons twice. They played Denver in the Denver game. Even though it didn't require him to have to go off and throw the ball a lot, only 78 passing yards. I want to see when things get nitty-gritty what Taysom Hill could do. I don't think they could get to the Super Bowl with Taysom Hill, but I will say this, though. They have the formula. Michael Thomas, no matter what people in Atlanta say about him, because they say a lot of stuff that's just inaccurate, he's one of the top guys in this league when he's actually on the field. Alvin Kamara arguably is an offensive player of the year caliber type of player this year, even though he's not getting that respect for it. I would say MVP as well if they cared about running backs getting it, even though it's a quarterback award. We'll get to that later. And you guys have the number 1 ranked defense, and you guys have been stopping people. That's the thing. I do believe with Drew Brees back and playing like he did a couple years ago, even last year's Drew Brees, I think you guys could definitely get to the Super Bowl. But with Taysom Hill, I don't know yet. But yet again, I don't know how much I trust Green Bay, how much I trust Seattle. So we're going to have to see. Right now, I think it's tight, but the Saints are definitely the best team right now. But with Taysom Hill as a quarterback, I don't know if they're a Super Bowl contender, but they're definitely the best team because they're running the football well, and they're stopping the run. They're really stopping the pass, too. And they're rushing the quarterback. They're getting turnovers. There's not much to hate about this Saints team. The one weakness, I guess, would be the quarterback position people want to talk about because I think their offensive line is playing lights out. So I think to be announced with Taysom Hill and this Saints team. Let's move on to Justin Fields from Ohio State. A lot of people project him as the number 2 quarterback in the 2021 draft. You're looking at a team like Jacksonville or potentially the Jets. They're vying for that first spot, so maybe the other team gets the second spot. They want to go quarterback.
The Jets, man. Jets.
How good do you think this kid is, man? 2019, 41 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 10 rushing touchdowns. We know Ohio State, they always produce quarterbacks that put up big numbers. Ohio State has NFL prospects every year. His numbers are crazy good. We see what Trevor Lawrence is doing. I think he's keeping up with them. Even in 2020, 15 touchdown passes, 3 picks, 5 rushing touchdowns. What is his ceiling in your eyes when he gets drafted into the NFL?
So if we're talking about potentially having all the characteristics and capabilities of getting to the Super Bowl and winning for Justin Fields, I definitely think that's attainable. I think Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence both have those capabilities. I think he could even potentially, of course it's not going to happen, but I think he could have been the number 1 overall pick. But Trevor Lawrence obviously has blocked that up. There's no question that no matter who gets it, they're going to take Trevor Lawrence without a question on that. But you look at a guy like Justin Fields who's just the dual threat, and that's the new era era of the NFL. You look at a guy like Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, guys like that, and Justin Fields is a more elusive and potentially better quarterback than those two guys. I think Justin Fields has potential to be a version of Lamar Jackson, but he can throw the football. Justin Fields has elusiveness like that. You didn't even look at a Russell Wilson, a quicker Russell Wilson. A Mahomes, but faster. He plays like a lot of the guys that are good right now in the NFL. So I think Justin Fields could win an MVP in the NFL. Not saying as soon as he comes in, but I think the sky's the limit for a guy like Justin Fields who shows it all on the field, brings it to the table. You look at a guy who was literally just a couple throws or arguably one throw away from going to the national championship and beating Trevor Lawrence. That potentially could have put him over the top for the number one pick. But no question that Justin Fields is a stud and he can have a lot of success in the NFL.
Absolutely. I think either him or Trevor Lawrence is going to be a Hall of Fame player. And for some reason, I feel like one of them is going to be a bust, one of them is going to be great. But when I look at him, he has the size. He could throw the football. Like you said, he's elusive. He makes smart plays. And we've seen this coming. A kid from Georgia should have stayed at Georgia, but we know all the politics and things that went down. So Ohio State has him, and they've been winning ever since. He puts up big numbers. He's a leader. He makes smart plays. He could run. He could pass. What's not to like about him, man? He might be just as good as Trevor Lawrence, but for some reason, my vibe is that one of them is going to be a bust. I could be wrong. These quarterbacks are so hard to evaluate because even Justin Herbert, I liked Justin Herbert when he was in college. I heard guys crapping on him saying, oh, he's not going to be that good in the NFL. And he still might not be that good in the NFL, but his rookie season, he's having a monster season for any young quarterback to have. So it's so hard to put your finger on these guys. Even Joe Burrow, everything he was able to do in that one season, before that, people were counting him out. And then he comes to the NFL, he's throwing a lot of passing yards, and he gets hurt. So we don't know if he's going to be the same player. What I'm saying is these quarterbacks are so hit and miss, and it just depends on the culture of the team. Like if he goes to a team like the Jets, are the Jets going to finally get their crap together? Are they going to have a new general manager, new head coach? There's still question marks. I would like to believe, because I'm a Jets fan, if we get either one of these two young guys, that we're going to be able to change the culture, that we'll be able to be great. But I don't know that. That's just me being very hopeful. And from what I see them do in college, they're taking over, they're doing things that you see other top picks do and stuff like that. These guys in college be looking amazing. So we'll see if it can translate to the NFL. How will these guys respond to playing on bad teams? Because it's easier when you're at Ohio State, when you're at a Clemson, when you're at a Alabama, and you have five-star prospects all over the place, and you're on a winning team with a winning culture with a great coach. You don't always have that in the NFL, and it's tough, but we'll see how tough these guys are. Transitioning to our last topic, Alex Smith. We know he had 17 surgeries on that leg, that gruesome injury. And then we see him with the cleats and with the opposite foot and him bleeding, still playing, being that ultimate tough guy. Tough against a tough Steelers team. They were down 14-0. They came back to win the game. He was all right in that game, threw a touchdown pass, almost 300 passing yards. Do you look at Alex Smith, the feel-good story, as the comeback player of the year?
Absolutely. I was actually getting blasted for this earlier on. And in a way, I was kind of blasting the NFL for giving it so quick to Alex Smith, but I was also one of those prisoner of the moment people where I wanted Cam Newton to get it really bad. And it looked like he was on pace for it, but obviously he slowed down and kind of in the Cam Newton that he's always been. But you look at a guy like Alex Smith who's got Washington at 5-7, and let's be real, man. Are we sure Washington can't win at least 2 to 3 of their last 4 games to potentially almost have a winning record? If Alex Smith does that after coming off of that injury, how can it not be him? Of course, people wanted to be Ben Roethlisberger, and it very well could be Ben Roethlisberger. You look at a guy who went out last year and had to get surgery, missed the entire year. But you hate to compare traumas, but when that type of injury happens to someone and they still have the courage to come back onto the field, and that's the thing, as someone, have very many people in the NFL actually went through that much and almost lost their life to then come back and play without hesitation, you know? And like I said, you don't necessarily want to compare Thomas and maybe the Comeback Player of the Year award's a little bit of a trap for that. But I do think Alex Smith doesn't necessarily have to win it because Big Ben very well could. But is Alex Smith in the conversation for taking home the hardware? Yes, absolutely.
And you got to love what Washington's doing there. I love their young running back Gibson. He's been playing well. I know that Ron Rivera...
He's being a baller before the season, man. He is a baller.
Yup, and I know Ron Rivera compared him to Adrian Foster, and he was a pretty good back. I know he had a lot of injuries, but when he played, man, he was elusive. He was doing his thing. And we know what Chase Young could do, rushing the quarterback. And on the back end, their secondary is pretty good. They don't get enough credit, but they are pretty good back there in the secondary. Now, Alex Smith, I think he'll get the award. I don't think he deserves the award. And I love Alex Smith, ultimate tough guy. Toughest guy in the NFL, man, for playing, coming back, and not quitting. And he almost died, lost his life, having to go through and overcome all that. Much respect to him. That's why I made that video. Toughest guy in the league, period, man. But Big Ben Roethlisberger, I got to give it to him. I thought he was done. I thought Big Ben, sayonara. I thought he was going to fall off. I thought he was going to retire. He's been flirting with that idea.
As did I, man. Big Ben shock against you.
Exactly. 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. Even outside the numbers, man, he has this Steelers team believing. We know James Conner, they're going to get him back. Well needed, too. They need James Conner back because they had no running game against Washington. And the sky's the limit for the Steelers, even though some people think they're pretenders, and I'm starting to believe it, too, a little bit. But they're still 11-1. There's still a little bit of the season left. Let's see how they finish. But I think Big Ben is going to win this award. I don't know if they're going to get the first seed. It's up for grabs. It's leaning towards the Chiefs. I hope not the Chiefs, because I picked the field over the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC. But Big Ben Roethlisberger is my pick to win it. But I do think they're going to give it to Alex Smith. But I think Big Ben deserves it in this case, man. But it could go either way. It could go either way, and either way, I'm fine with that. I just can't wait, man, for the Steelers and the Bills. That's the big game this week, and I want to see what Big Ben could do. I want to see what Josh Allen does, and James Conner in that running game, and Singletary in that running game. So, and we'll probably talk about this game a little bit later in the week. But Adam, thank you for joining me. Everybody, go follow him on literally every social media platform, TikTok, everywhere, man. What's Off-Season Podcast. Thanks for joining me, Adam.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. By the way, you're a hater if you think that Kansas City is not going to go.
Hey.
The only reason I'm saying the Saints are going to go win is because I'm a believer, and we are going to win. But you're crazy if you think that Kansas City is coming out of the AFC.
I hope they don't. And Adam, you know how hard it is to repeat as champions. I think the Patriots were the last thing to do it. I'm not saying they're not the favorite or playing the best. Yeah, it's hard. I'm not saying they're not the favorite or the best. I just smell an upset somewhere in the playoffs. I could be wrong, but we'll see. Like, comment, subscribe below. It's the final play on the Just Good Network. Follow us on all social media pages. And thank you again, Adam.
All right, then. What else is signing out, brother?
Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Ariel Allman. Follow my YouTube page, Ariel Allman, and me and Jansen's joint couple page, Ariel and Jansen, on YouTube. If you love movies and shows, look out for some of my new projects coming out in the next couple of months. Bye! Hi, I'm Ariel Almond. For inspirational books that keep you uplifted and inspire you to follow your passion in life, visit LordLily.com. Each book incorporates poetry. If you have a book and you need a real publisher, also visit LordLily.com.
I'm Jansen Harris, and you are listening to the final play on the Just Good Network. We are sponsored by and partnered with Your Future Media for all media purposes, the Atlanta UK Falcons for Falcons News, and Level 1 Game Room at Georgia Gwinnett College. I'm Jansen Harris with the Just Good Network. Good.
Jansen Harris here with the final play on the Just Good Network. This is the Paycheck segment where we go over who has had a great week in sports and who's had a bad week. Who deserves that raise and give that man a raise, and who needs to return their paycheck because why? They've been either doing something dumb or they're losing or they're just, things aren't going well or whatever they're doing is just not smart. let's start with return your paycheck. And I love this guy, James Harden, 3 scoring titles in a row. Each of those seasons averaging over 30 points a game. He's been balling. In 2018, he won an MVP. So you might be thinking, okay, that's great. But let's take a look at the news. James Harden reportedly wanted to trade. He wanted to first go to the Nets or the Sixers. Now he wants to go to the Bucks or the Heat as well, opening it up. But he is missing practice, and that's why I say he has to return his paycheck. Why? Because he was seen partying with Lil Baby. I believe it was his birthday in Las Vegas. Not supposed to be doing that. He should be with his team getting ready for the season. I think it brings a bad look on him and his brand. It just shows that, hey, I'm pulling the Anthony Davis. I don't want to be here. I don't want to play here. I'm forcing my hand. I want to be gone. Since Russell Westbrook got traded, he's like, I want out too, even though there has been reports that said he would rather play with John Wall than Russell Westbrook. But we don't know if we could believe that, because if that's true, why does he want to leave? DeMarcus Cousins just signed with the team, and if he could stay healthy, you would think that's a pretty good team right there, right? We'll see what Siles has to offer. I don't think he's a great coach, but who knows? He got an opportunity. It's a fresh start. Daryl Morey's gone. We'll see if they can go into a new direction. But saying that, James Harden is sabotaging the Rockets. He wants to be out. I think Siles said it himself. He said that James Harden's holding out, and it's obvious. He'll be back with the team soon, but now he has to quarantine. He has to pass 6 tests in a row for the coronavirus to get back with the team. So it's a lot of drama, a lot of unnecessary things. Whatever happened to superstar players doing things the right way? Playing, honoring their contract. Not saying asking for a trade isn't honoring that, but it's doing it in a more professional manner. I think it gives off a bad sign and a bad taste in your mouth when you see younger players thinking, hey, I could do the same thing. I'm going to just hold out because the situation's not going how I wanted to go. In real life, when you're working a job you don't want to work, yes, you can change jobs, but a lot of time the reality is you got to stay there until you find something else, or you put in a 2-week notice, or you just do things in a more professional manner than what James Harden's doing. That's why, James Harden, return your paycheck. Love you, great player, but this isn't cool what you're doing. Let's get into Give That Man a Raise, where we honor players who have been balling out and deserve recognition. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball for everything he was doing last Sunday night. Tyrann Matthews, he was a star at LSU, got drafted in the 3rd round in 2013. Many people thought that he should have went higher, and that's for a reason. You're looking at a Super Bowl champion. He was a Pro Bowler in 2015, 2 first-team All-Pros in 2015-2019, second-team All-Pro in 2019 as well. He is a baller. NFL's 2010s All-Decade Team, Heisman Trophy finalist in 2011. He's an SEC champion. He's a beast. 2011 SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He's an All-American. And what has he done lately? He had 2 interceptions against Denver. He was a ball hawk. The week before that, he got an interception. He has 3 picks in the last 2 weeks, 5 total interceptions, putting him in the top 5 in the league with interceptions. But he's the type of player that just makes plays. He could rush the passer from that weak side. He can cover. He's doing everything for this Kansas City defense, and that's what makes Kansas City so dangerous. It's not just their offense with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, and all those guys. It's what the defense is doing. Tyron Matthew, he's a veteran player. He's in his prime at 28 years old. He's in great shape. His football IQ is getting better. He's getting more confident. He's a champion. He's helping teach these young players. That's why we need to give this man a raise. He's balling out. This Kansas City's defense looks like it's a top 5 defense. Maybe not yardage-wise, but with effort, creating turnovers, being stingy, not giving up a whole bunch of points. They can rely on Kansas City's defense right now to win games. So give that man a raise, Tyrann Mathieu. This was the paycheck segment where it's either return your paycheck
or give that man a raise. I'm Jansen Harris with the final play on the Just Good Network. Jansen Harris back with the final play on the Just Good Network. Week 14 in the NFL. This is the time of year where teams need a win. Seeding, positioning matters. Big-time games this weekend. Let's kick it off. But first, I want to talk about the Patriots and Rams. Big win for the Rams. They're looking good right now. I have a couple buddies and a couple people I know around the league think this Rams team is good enough to get back to the Super Bowl. They're a little bit more mature of a team. Jared Goff playing a little bit more consistent. The defense only allowing 3 points against the Patriots. I love the way their defense is playing. Their offense is playing good enough. This team right now at 9-4 is looking like a Super Bowl contending team. Gotta love what they're doing over there. Didn't allow any touchdowns, and that's what stood out to me. Cam Akers, 29 carries, 171 yards, 5.9 yards on the ground. He did his thing. He's the player of the game to me. And I look at the Patriots, they are struggling offensively. Yes, Cam Newton, 9 for 16, 119 yards, an interception. He hasn't looked good. I think in 3 games, he doesn't even have 250 passing yards. That's ridiculous. They need to run the football more. The play calling has been awful. It's a disaster right now on the offensive side of the ball for the Patriots. We can't just blame Cam. Everybody wants to put it on Cam. And yes, Cam has not been good. He has been bad. I think the offensive line has been decent, but he's not making plays. It starts with him. The running backs aren't really making plays. And Sony Michel, Damian Harris. And I don't know if it's because they're not getting enough carries, but they're not making any plays. Cam Newton is not making enough plays in the running game. And I look at the receivers. Harry needs to get more targets, okay? What's Bird doing? Myers, even James White. These guys need more targets. They need more opportunities to make plays. They need to get open. This Patriots offense is a mess. They're 6-7. They do not look like a playoff team, but we'll see what goes on in the next couple weeks to see if they'll be in the playoffs or not. But 6-7, they haven't lost this many games since, 2002? That's crazy. Let's start with the Vikings at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Vikings are 6-6, looking to be a playoff team. The Bucs are coming off the bye. They need to play well, and I think they will at home. I think the Bucs will win this game. Tom Brady will not throw an interception. I think they got the running game going. They will beat the Vikings and improve to 8-5 and stay in that playoff picture because you want to improve. You want to see if you could potentially catch the Saints. I don't know if they'll do that, but we will see. Titans at Jags. I think the Titans will improve to 9-4. The Jaguars look terrible. They can't score. They do have some talent on the team. They had a close game against the Vikings, the team we just picked that game. But I got the Titans in this one improving it to 9-4. It might be tight. I think a 10-point game because they're division rivals. But ultimately, I have the Titans win. The Jaguars are still trying to compete for the first pick in the draft, which the Jets own right now. Right now, they're sitting in that second spot. Maybe Justin Fields goes to them. We will see how that plays out. You have the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 11-1. Right now, the favorites to win the Super Bowl back-to-back. They are at the Miami Dolphins. Is there any chance the Dolphins win this game? I think it'll be closer to what people think. The Dolphins have a secondary. Howard's playing well. They have a pass rush. They could run the football. They're not a complete team, and there's a question mark at the quarterback position, or maybe their offense as a whole passing the football. I think it's a close one, but I'm going with the Chiefs. I think Mahomes, outside of the Dolphins having a really good offense, they need to bounce back. This Chiefs offense has been struggling a little bit. They struggled against Denver. I think they'll put up a little bit more points, but it'll be a tight one, and maybe they'll pull away at the end. 28-17, give me the Chiefs. They'll get the running game going with Bell and Hilaire. I like their shotgun runs that they run. Patrick Mahomes will throw 2 or 3 touchdown passes. This should be a message game for the Chiefs. Hopefully they get an interception or 2, but I like the Chiefs in this one. I think they keep it rolling. They're motivated to get that first seed. The Chiefs will improve to 12-1. Let's move on to the Broncos at Panthers. A game probably people aren't paying attention to that much. I have the Panthers in this one. This isn't going to be an easy game. 2-4-8 teams. I like that Christian McCaffrey could potentially play. Some people say he's not expected to play. I hope he could get back. I think that really has hurt this team. But saying that, Give me the Carolina Panthers in this one. I think they'll improve to 5-8. They're not a playoff team, but maybe they could build something for next season. Cardinals at Giants. This is a must-win game for the Cardinals. They've been struggling lately. I like the Giants at home. I like what they did on defense to Seattle. They sent a message. I think they'll run the football well. They won't turn the ball over. They're playing tough. They're playing well at the right times. I have the Giants in this one. I think Daniel Jones will be playing. If he cannot turn the ball over, then this Giants team will win. They'll knock off the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray makes a mistake or two. He'll put up some big fantasy numbers on the ground, throwing the ball. But this Cardinals team is struggling right now. Give me the Giants. That is a big game. Texans at Bears. The Texans have been looking pretty good recently. I know they had that devastating loss with the fumble at the goal line. I like Houston in this one. Deshaun Watson has been balling out. He's been putting up big numbers. I think they bounce back at this one. The Bears' offense has been a mess, really, since I've been watching football. They've always been bad. I don't care if it's Trubisky. I don't care if it's Nick Foles, and I like Nick Foles. Give me the Houston Texans in this one. Deshaun Watson makes a couple plays. I don't think the Bears could really score the football. That's my problem with that. We'll see what J.J. Watt can do. I think he'll have some success against this Bears offensive line. We'll see, but the Texans by at least 2 touchdowns. Cowboys at Bengals. This is a game really that nobody cares about. This is positioning right now for the draft. The Bengals, they need offensive line help. The Cowboys, they need offensive line help. They could use another pass rusher. They could use a guy in the secondary. They really could use Dak Prescott. I thought this was a playoff team with Dak Prescott. Saying that, I got the Cowboys in this one. We'll see what Zeke could do. I think Zeke gets 100 yards in this one. He hasn't been the player he was last season, but I expected that because why? Dak Prescott is out. People say, oh, don't pay Dak, don't pay Dak. But Dak Prescott probably needs his money after you see the season the Cowboys are having. I think they edge out the Bengals and they take that one. Colts at Raiders. This is a must-win game to me for the Raiders. The Raiders have looked bad recently. They needed really a Hail Mary prayer to beat the Jets. 2 weeks ago, they lost to the Falcons, a team they should have beat. I guess that was a trap game. The Colts are 8-4. Another big game for them. They want to win the division. They've been looking pretty good on defense. This is a marquee matchup that nobody's talking about in the media right now. Derek Carr needs to play well. He needs to lead this team. This offense needs to get going early. The Raiders at home, I'm picking them. I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts win, but I have the Raiders 27-24. They need to run the football well with Jacobs. They need to control the time of possession. I think they'll do that. I like the Las Vegas Raiders in this one against the Colts. The Jets and Seattle. Do I really have to say much about this? Seattle, bad loss last week to the Giants. I thought they would win that one and then beat the Jets this week and then Washington next week, but that's why they play the games. Give me the Seattle Seahawks in this one. I think Seattle's just too much for the Jets. The Jets can't really score. They can't protect their quarterback. They can't really do much of anything, and I think they're in complete tank mode. Russell Wilson, I think he has a big week. 3 or 4 touchdown passes out of him. DK Metcalf should make a couple plays. Lockett should be making plays. The running game should be there with Carson. Let's see what goes on. Let's see what happens with the Seattle team because Seattle needs to be balanced. Seattle needs to punch him in the face. Jamal Adams, he's coming back to New York. I expect him to have a big game. There's a lot of bad blood between Jamal Adams and the Jets. He said a lot of slick things in the media, and the Jets, they felt like, you know what, you're not worth it. We got a couple first-round picks out of you. And Jamal Adams feels like, look, Seattle has a roster built to go to the Super Bowl. Seattle wants to win games. You guys are tanking. This is a revenge game. I expect Jamal Adams to have a big game, too. He's going to be extra motivated. He has 7.5 sacks. He might get a sack in this one. Seattle big. Lions and Packers. Do not sleep on the Lions. We know that they just fired the general manager, Bob Quinn. They just fired their head coach, and Matt Patricia. Both those guys, according if you ask Lion fans, needed to go. Green Bay is 9-3. Green Bay wants to keep up with the Saints and still prove they're championship contenders. Aaron Rodgers is hungry. He's focused. I do not see the Packers losing this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if they come back from behind. Stafford's a pretty good quarterback still. I think Stafford has a decent day, but I think Aaron Rodgers has a bigger day and closes out. They win by 7 points. I think it'll be closer than what people think, and they'll improve to 10-3. Falcons at Chargers. The Falcons are 4-8. They look like a mess. The Chargers look like a mess, but the Chargers at home, I like Justin Herbert. I think Herbert has a big game. This Falcons team has been playing defense better lately, but Justin Herbert, I think he'll kind of expose that secondary like it's been all year. He's a quarterback who can make plays happen. Expect a big day out of him. Keenan Allen should have a big day. I love A.J. Terrell, pretty good rookie, but he's not ready for that assignment. So I think Keenan Allen and the Chargers defeat the Falcons. Big day for Justin Herbert. This is a bad Chargers team, but they can lean on Herbert to make some plays, maybe throw over 300 yards and a couple touchdown scores. Washington at 49ers. I love what Gibson has been doing. Gibson's running the football well. Give me the Washington football team. Chase Young is playing well on defense. Washington football team now, them and the Giants are starting to look good. The Eagles and the Cowboys are starting to look bad. Washington, what they're doing, they're running the football. They're stopping the run. Their secondary was best in the league a couple weeks ago. They're playing tough football. Ron Rivera has this team balling at the right time of the season. So give me the Washington football team over the 49ers. Don't really expect much from the 49ers. I think it'll be tough in the beginning, but they'll lose by 10 points. The Saints and Eagles, it's been a brutal schedule for the Eagles. What do I expect out of Jalen Hurts? Well, Jalen Hurts is going against, right now, the number one ranked defense in the league. And that offensive line is terrible. They've given up 50 sacks, so it doesn't really matter who's at quarterback when it comes to that. The Saints just 3 weeks ago, they sacked Matt Ryan 8 times. They got after him last Sunday. This Saints team, they attacked the quarterback. I expect them to get after Jalen Hurts. But I will say this, Hurts' legs could be a factor in this game. He's going to need to get out the pocket. He's going to need to roll left, roll right, because he's not going to have time to just sit there and throw the football. I don't think Jalen Hurts has a great game, but I think he makes a couple plays with his legs. Maybe he scores with his legs, but I do think he'll throw an interception or two. This Saints defense is for real. They can't afford to slip up. They know they have the Packers, they have Seattle, they have the Rams, all wanting that first seed. I like the Saints defense in this one to give Jalen Hurts some problems, but I think Jalen Hurts will have a touchdown or two, but I also think he'll maybe fumble the ball or throw a couple interceptions. Give me the Saints by 13 points in that one. Give Steelers and Bills. Biggest game of the weekend. This is a must-win game to me for both teams. The Steelers are coming off, in my opinion, a bad loss to the Bills. The Bills are trying to prove that they are Super Bowl contenders and they can play with a team like the Chiefs who embarrassed them. Or I remember they played the Titans. They lost like 42-14. But they also have some big victories. This Bills team has looked good against the Patriots, who maybe they're not that good, but it's still nice to see them overtake the Patriots finally in that little grudge thing. They've always been under them. So it's finally good to see them do well in that one. And they played well against Seattle and beat them. They beat the Rams. They have some big victories, but they also have some big losses. At home against the Steelers, who have a pretty good defense. That front seven is awesome. Their back four is pretty good as well, too. The Steelers, they average the most sacks a game. I still like the Bills in this one. I think Josh Allen makes a couple plays with his legs. He makes some with his arm, but mainly with his legs late in the game. I say 20-14 Bills. This is the Josh Allen game. I think Josh Allen doesn't make any mistakes. And I think the Bills' defense will force Big Ben Roethlisberger to throw a lot of times. Big Ben threw the ball 53 times in that loss against Washington, and that's why they lost. James Conner will be back. He doesn't have COVID anymore. They need to run him well, and I think they'll run him a lot. I think he'll get 20 carries, but I think the Bills will be ready for that, and they'll try to expose that passing game of the Steelers. At times, the Steelers' offense and that passing game does not look pretty, so I think the Bills will do a better job passing the ball, and I think they'll do a better job running the football. So give me the Bills by 6 points. Monday Night Football, Ravens and Browns. Ravens look good, but that's against bad teams like the Cowboys. I've seen a couple good passes by Lamar Jackson, but overall, he's been struggling. He's the reason why this team doesn't only have like 2 losses. The defense is balling out, and the offensive line is pretty good. I think the running backs, they just need to not have COVID, and they need to be healthy. The weakness on this team right now is Lamar Jackson and the wide receiving core. If Brown and some of these other guys could step up, make some plays, create some separation, maybe Lamar Jackson could hit them on some passes. But they're going to need a lot of that because this Browns defense is for real. I don't think Baker Mayfield has a bad game. I think he needs to at least be decent.
Now, people hate on Baker, say, oh, well, Baker sucks, Baker ain't this, Baker ain't that. He doesn't need to be great. Baker won't be great in this game. But you know who will be? Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and this defense. Give me the Browns to improve to 10-3. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but the Browns will be 10-3. Baker Mayfield will make some plays, and give him credit. He's doing it without Odell Beckham Jr. I think that Jarvis Landry could play better. He's been okay this year. They'll make some plays. They'll make smart decisions. This Browns team will improve to 10-3. People will continue to hate, but the Browns are kind of looking for real. I'm not saying they'll go to the AFC Championship game. I'm not saying they'll win a playoff game. I'm saying right now, let's call it what it is. If they beat the Ravens, they will be 10-3, so there really isn't much to hate on right now. They have a pretty good defense, probably a top 5, top 6 defense, and they can run the football. When you could do that, you can win games in this league still. It's not just pass happy, throw 50 times, throw 60 times a game. That's the formula to win. They are a tough team. They are a Ravens-like, Steelers-like team this year. This will be a big win on Monday Night Football for the Browns. This is a must-win game for the Ravens. If the Ravens want to be for real, they need to win this game in Cleveland, but I don't think they'll do that. And I think Baker Mayfield, he has a smart game. He outplays Lamar Jackson in that one. So those are my weekly picks. You guys let me know what you think of it. You think they're crazy or not? That's my Week 14 picks. I'm Jansen Harris, the Final Play on the Just Good Network. Shout out to Your Future Media. For all media purposes, visit Your Future Media. The UK Falcons, follow them on Instagram, where you'll see me post a lot of content. And on Twitter, you'll see polls. You'll see everything, really, about Falcons. So go check that out as well. The Level 1 Game Room, who's associated with Georgia Gwinnett College. Shout out to them. Flint Heathcliff, everything they're doing a phenomenal job. So shout out to them as well. I'm Jansen Harris again with the Final Play on the Just Good Network.